Your Stan, Satan's half-wit brother. Satan is taking a week of vacation and leaving you in charge. What kind of fucked up quasi-punishments do you issue while Satan's out? Everyone is stuck in that state of quasi-constipation where you have to poop, but every time you sit down on the toilet the feeling goes away until you've wiped your ass, pulled your pants up, and left the bathroom. And there is always a wait for an empty stall. The only line I remember from my ex's terrible poetry is, "In hell the toilet seats are always warm." Thanks for the silver. Forced to watch a stubborn boomer, who types with one finger or two max, knows zero keyboard shortcuts, and loudly and aggressively asks questions about how to do things or why certain things are happening with the format but refuses to let you help create a PowerPoint or Word document. Wait, I'm doing that right now at work. Will I still get my salary to watch my boss type? Completing jigsaw puzzles in a dark room with only a strobe light, Red Bull, and Fiber 1 bars. No one seems to understand the literal shitstorm you're creating by combining Red Bull with fiber. Everyone is now stuck in rush hour traffic. The gas and brake pedals swap functions with each other at random intervals and without warning. If you hit another car, you are teleported to the back of the traffic jam. The reward for reaching your destination is you get to bathe in ice cold pickle juice. Also, the AC doesn't work. It's 120 degrees Fahrenheit outside and everything smells like exhaust. Your car seats are made of cracked vinyl and your skin is sticking to them. And the sun is always in your eyes. This sounds like Satan and Stan teamed up, not fair. I would release the algorithm that determines entrance to hell, allowing bad people to narrowly escape eternal torment while simultaneously filling heaven with barely passing the threshold shitty people. It would also destroy the world as people saved up good points so that they could murder the few people they wanted, while still getting into heaven through good deeds, and allow people to kill those who are barely under the 50%, forcing them to go to hell before they've raised their score to the acceptable level. It would make heaven, hell and earth worse. Everybody must use Internet Explorer. Virgil led Dante to the next circle of hell. They entered a small, cramped hallway that extended further than the eye could discern in either direction. Hunched forms typed incessantly at computers in an endless pitter-patter chorus that rose to a rumble over such great distances. What minor sin have these committed, such that they were awarded computers in hell? Oh, Dante, they gain no joy in this. For they are all bound to use Internet Explorer. Dante's breath caught in his throat. Does Satan have no mercy for his damned? No, my son, as this was dreamt up not by him but by his far more sinister brother Stan. I see. Why do they just not use the computers? It would be better to rot into dust alone than with Internet Explorer, I think. Stan is more ruthless than we give him credit for. He has promised his tortured souls that they may achieve ascension to heaven if they win a sweepstakes offered on hell.com. And so, all the damned spend all day navigating through that website, looking for their salvation. And? The contest tells you that you need JavaScript, but Java does not work well in Internet Explorer. Some are tempted to try and download Chrome, but the download speed gets slower and slower as the file gets closer to finishing. Thus as well to Opera, Safari, Edge, and even Firefox. May God have mercy on their souls, Dante said. Indeed he shall not. This outdated version of VA cannot even stream YouTube videos, my son. They are forever bound to load web pages at a rate of one page every 12 minutes, ever searching for a lottery chance that shall be ever denied to them. Their entire life is staring at that hourglass waiting cursor, an eternity of frustrating slowness. Let us move on, Virgil. I have not the stomach for such frustrations. What on earth could they have done to deserve such a punishment? All the toilets get clogged up when people poop, but they don't completely overflow, they just back up to the very top of the rim, giving you that panicky feeling of wondering if it will spill over the top. You have the feeling of hair in your mouth even though there is none, and whenever you're about to sneeze it cancels out. People infinitely mowing the lawn while you're trying to study or sleep. That chocolate box from Monty Python. Spring surprise and crunchy frog will be extremely popular. Did you remove the bones? Everyone has a piece of popcorn stuck in their gums that they can't get out. Dante walked to the next room, with Virgil trailing behind him this time. There is an unexpected scent to the air, Virgil. Something that reminds me of home. Could it be popcorn? Yes, Dante, indeed it is. Buttered, fresh, and served in excess. How is this circle meant to torment then? Is popcorn not among the most blessed of God's creations? Indeed it is, my Dante, but our tormentor Stan has worked up another infernal scheme. All of these tortured souls have been given ever-sharpened teeth, 30 per row top and bottom. They stand white and crisp and sharp and spaced just so perfectly as to allow a popcorn kernel shell to slide within each and every one. You mean, Dante began, his stomach dropping, that they all? Yes, Dante. All told, about 60 popcorn kernels are stuck in the mouth of each of these poor, tortured souls' mouths. Dante then noticed that their hands were encased in blocks of strange yellow mass. The masses you see, Dante, are blocks of butter. It keeps the popcorn always far too salty to enjoy, and yet there is no water. It also makes their hands too large to fit in their mouths to remove the kernels. And what of their tongues? Many try that at first, but their tongues cut against their teeth and the kernels therein until they are but lumps of scar tissue. The only way to remove the kernels is to eat more and hope that it dislodges. And so they eat more and more popcorn, furthering the cycle of their punishment. Dante finished. He shook his head in deep pity for the cursed souls before him. If, Dante added, at the end of days, God is to assign a punishment and torture for even Stan himself, I hope that it is one beyond cruelty. For such is as he deserves. I feel like I developed second-hand PTSD from this. Everyone gets a new game system, but the only game available is a glitchy version of Tetris. There's a smell of cat shit in the room, but no matter where you look you can't find it, and it just gets worse in the heat as time goes on. This is my favorite. Fucking laughed so goddamned hard. I have lived this. What is that fucking smell? Where is it coming from? Sniffs repeatedly for some reason. Every line is worse than the DMV, and the workers are even more pissy. Self-checkout FTW. Then something doesn't scan correctly and you have to stand there and wait for someone to come over and punch in their ID number. I'm picturing Stan as a bumbling of someone whose hijinks always end up actually benefiting the target, in a goofy sitcom kind of way. I hide a man's remote so that watching TV becomes a chore. Unexpectedly, he decides to get out more and starts hiking. He meets a woman on the trails and they end up falling in love and living happily ever after. Damn it, Stan. I make the milk in a household kitchen spoil absurdly quickly. The parents realize they have never liked the store brand and start getting milk from a local farm. Stan, you fool. I put a Lego under the foot of an elderly woman, expecting to inflict absolute agony. Big brother Satan would be proud. But the pain only lasts a few minutes and the woman smiles fondly as she remembers her son and the crazy Lego adventures he used to have. She knows they had a falling out years ago, but can't even remember what it was all about. She decides to reach out to him and they ultimately reconnect and rekindle what was once a beautiful relationship. Stan, can't you do anything right? Sounds like the Stan of my dreams. Satan would be pissed when he got back. Satan walks in, damn it Stan, these punishments are horrible. Why is everybody happy? Stan, yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man. Sounds like Stan is the dude. A bunch of chocolate, but some of them are turds. Virgil stood before the next chamber. Dante peeked his head in and immediately was taken aback. It smells delicious. Indeed it does, Dante, as it is a confectioner's shop. Fresh chocolate is made here for all eternity, and the tortured find it their only food they may eat. Dante now began to detect a sour note in the air, something not quite so sweet or appetizing. Fascinated, he watched them eat dutifully at the chocolate bars they were given. One gagged and recoiled and spat on the floor. What was that, Virgil? 1 in 10 bars of chocolate is unprocessed feces. He has gotten unlucky. While disgusting, the 9 of 10 times seem not so bad an existence compared to the other circles we have seen. Come with me, Dante. There is more to see here. The two walked past the communal latrines, where lactose-intolerant hell denizens passed their chocolates back into the hellstone below. From a nearby stairway, the pair descended to the cooler layer underground. Here, a conveyor belt peeled off 1 in 10 lumps of shit, which was routed back upstairs. That must be the shit that they eat, Dante observed. How right you are, said Virgil. But there is still more to see. They turned a hall, following a conveyor belt loaded with the 9/10 turds that were not routed back upstairs. These turds filed into a great chamber where they were pressed, reshaped, and eventually sprayed with a hellish concoction that changes their flavor and aroma. You don't mean, Dante began, voice trailing off. Yes, Dante. They're all shit. Every piece of chocolate eaten above. It is shit eaten and passed and eaten and passed again. They are given shit and worse tasting shit and they fear the worst shit, so they happily eat the good shit, and then at the end of their tortures they shall be told the truth. Such undoes even the strongest of minds. Dante remained silent, trying his best to hold his lunch. Such fate awaits all politicians who would lie to their public. Those who spew bullshit shall thus seated for all eternity. Let us be moving on, Dante. This scent does no favors to my sinuses. Jesus, my dude. This is maybe the only AskReddit thread I've ever seen that was absolutely dominated by one person, thanks to your amazing replies. This question feels like it was created for you, the other commenters mere props for your art. Everyone is forced to read text that has symbols inserted into it for no good reason. Also, those symbols don't close properly, again, for no good reason. Dante walked into the next chamber and saw a strange poster on the wall. He read it and immediately recoiled. You feel it the very moment you read the words, do you not? It's a most unpleasant sensation, said Virgil, clearly understanding the source of Dante's discomfort. It felt like my body was split into parts that no longer made a whole. If that makes any sense. Virgil nodded, understanding the intent behind the man's words. On the floor, twisted forms writhed in abject agony, clawing at their eyes as they read through page after page of unholy text. Dante snuck another glimpse at what was written, and recoiled once again, this time feeling even further afflicted. What is that ungodly sensation? Dante managed, his head spinning in confusion and panic. It is the soul-wrenching burn of a language abused. This torment always awaits persons who abuse our language, as a wicked man is punished for the abuse of a wife. Dante's eye accidentally set upon another errant piece of paper. His eyes locked shut as he shook in horror. Steady, Dante, said Virgil, and indeed Dante regained some of his composure. There is still more to see. The two dropped down to an even lower room beneath the first, and immediately Dante felt sick. Persevering face, persevering face, persevering face, to his stomach. What, embarrassed smiley face, is Chinese for existence happening? Dante cried, his eyes, starstruck, watering, hot, embarrassed smiley face, stinging tears, smiley face. Why, thoughtful face, can I know, persevering face, longer form coherent thoughts. You now understand the penalties for using too many emoji, AOK hand, in text, open book, messaging, and social media comments, said Virgil. It is Chinese for existence, a maddening domain of decentralized images and thoughts, of swirling ideas and rampant contagious madness, of malaise, of anger, angry, of good, AOK hand, thumbs up, shit, poop, AOK hand, eyes, AOK hand, eyes, AOK hand, eyes, A-OK hand, eyes, A-OK hand, eyes, good shit guess hit, A-OK hand, that's, black tick mark, some good, A-OK hand, shit right, A-OK hand, there, A-OK hand, A-OK hand, right, black tick mark, there, black tick mark, if I do so myself, 100, I say so, 100, that's what I'm talking about right there. Chorus, RGHD the, 100, A-OK hand, A-OK hand, 00 ooh, A-OK hand, A-OK hand, 100, A-OK hand, eyes, A-OK hand, good shit please, folded hands, Virgil letters, leave I don't, feel good, A-OK hand, thumbs up, I don't want, hungry face, to hurt, injured face, anymore make it toe pee please, folded hands, Virgil and suddenly, it was all over. Virgil stood holding Dante's shoulder, just outside the room they had entered from. It cannot harm you here, Dante. Worry not. Let us proceed. There is still more to see below. Dante shuffled after Virgil, a hint of uncertainty now slowing his every step. Perhaps some of Stan's tortures were so horrible and wicked that, in truth, it was overly optimistic to assume he could even witness them without some kind of price. He only hoped what he learned ahead was worth the cost. For the bill would soon come due. And for better or worse, he would pay. Oh God, I'm in hell. Every time you use your debit card, it's going to decline 6 times before the transaction is approved. And the cashier, who is a total bro for the first 3 swipes but becomes increasingly, irrationally agitated and aggressive with each following swipe until absolutely refusing a 6th swipe with you starving and thirsting into madness. Knowing you can obtain all to ease your suffering on that 7th swipe, doesn't matter when you clicked save, when you open the file back up it's always missing about 15 minutes of work. This is just pure evil. Cockroach enemas. Dante took Virgil's arm. What is that circle over there? We will not be visiting there, Dante, and ask me nothing more about it. But, I thought we were visiting all of the Inferno and learning I will hear nothing more about that place. In the second circle, Alexander Solzhenitsyn, 1908 to 2008. You're sentenced to stand at the sink and wash dishes by hand, and you'll be released when you've cleaned them all. But more keep coming in every time you're about to finish the last one. Also, you really have to poop but you can't until you've finished cleaning the dishes. I see you've worked as a dishwasher. Man, that was the worst job. It's exactly like the other guy described it. The only good part was it was cash in hand, otherwise it fucking sucked. Watch Big Bang Theory in one sitting, no laugh track. This is the first one that actually made me gasp in horror. Only play the first, take notes of Sweet Child O' Mine for the entire time. Go back to your margaritas, Satan. Internet that is slow enough to piss you off, but not so slow that you want to do something about it. You can load ads on YouTube, but can't load videos. Not even joking, this is happening to me currently. Ads load in 1080 and then the video loads at the lowest quality and takes 15 minutes to load 30 seconds of it. All the cookies are off-brand fake Oreos. So you're saying Stan has the power to bring back Hydrox? Forced to run a marathon with baked beans in your underwear, all the food you eat will have sand in slash on it. Whenever you try to poop you won't have to go, but then when you leave the bathroom you'll feel like you really have to go. For men, you'll get an erection whenever you're nervous or don't want one, and never when you want one. For women, all of the pain slash discomfort of your period without any possibility of a baby. Also it's 24/7. Also everyone pees the bed every single night. Greater than forced to run a marathon with baked beans in your underwear, WTF. Oddly specific and completely idiotic. Classic Stan. Dante gawked at the next circle before him. They are running, that much I can tell. But have they all shat themselves? What is going on here? No, Dante, they have not. Their pants runneth over with baked beans. Beg pardon? Baked beans. But why? Dante tried to wrap his head around the punishment and its symbology. What does it mean? I know not, Dante. But as they run, the beans run between their legs and down their thighs. It spills forth from waistband and pools in shoes. It tickles at their buttholes, and occasionally, if one runs with enough gusto, one might just find itself pulled inside and swiftly expelled with each thundering pace. Virgil shook his head in pity at the tortured legions before him. It is true that beans make you gassy, but it is another thing entirely to expel them whole from your bumhole each and every day for the rest of your life. To have barbecue sauce enemas as you trudge mile after mile over hell's turn track. To reek of beans and feel your pans soggy with them weighing down your every step. What sin are these wretched lot guilty of? They are adulterers who lied of their infidelity. The fruit of their loins shall be fruits upon their loins. Their lies and betrayals shall ever chase them around endless track, but remember well that a liar may never truly know rest. Let their bulging underwear be a lesson to you, Dante. Remember well the price they have paid. And Dante and Virgil carried onwards, deeper into Stan's Inferno. You can listen to music. But only music made by popular musicians' lesser siblings. Damn, which Jonas brother do I get to listen to? Joe or Nick? Frankie, you have to wear wet socks, all day every day. The next circle opened before Dante and Virgil, a mouldering and darkened place dripping with moisture. Blue light flickered from weak flames on the walls and an unsettling rumble filled the space. What is that sound, Virgil? Dante, my son, that is the squealing of a million wet socks, forever squelching with each step onto sodden gravel. Dante shuddered immediately and involuntarily. I pray that I misheard you? No, Dante, you did not. The floors here shift with ever-moving puddles of water, and so the damned must run about to try and avoid the kiss of that dark and cold stalker on the floor below. Dante squinted into the darkness, and indeed he could now see the fretful shiftings of the crowds within. They fled some unseen threat, which assuredly must have been the puddles flowing across the ground. They believe that their socks may yet one day dry, should they avoid the puddles for long enough. Virgil said with a shake of his head. None ever get close enough to even pass dampness. But what of foot funguses? What of eternal pruning? That uncomfortable squelching with each step? Blisterings? Such is the lot of these, Dante. Their feet prune to bloated husks of skin. The skin blisters to boils and pus. The pus mingles with the water and dirt. The socks are further drenched. What did they do to deserve this, Virgil? They kept scrolling on a Facebook post that said to like for God and scroll for Satan, Virgil said. The words left him and sank on Dante's spirit like a leaden weight. In scrolling, they were meddling with forces they could not possibly have understood. Dante nodded his head, satisfied with the explanation but feeling a deep sympathy for the tortured souls before him. Indeed, ignorance of the law was no excuse for its breaking. He only hoped that their suffering would eventually get easier. That they would learn to survive in this endless nightmare. That their feet would go numb before the pain drives them mad. Let us go further, Virgil. The smell of toe fungus makes me quite eager to leave. Like for God, scroll for Stan FTFY. No one in Britain can queue correctly. Japan's trains run 3+ minutes late, all day. All maple syrup in Canada turns to Vegemite, and all Vegemite in Australia becomes peanut butter. Italians are unable to drink wine, and the Scottish can drink nothing but. The sex industry in Amsterdam unionizes and immediately strikes. France can only eat English cuisine, America can only eat traditional Chinese, and China only gets what Americans think they eat. Pornhub goes down and only streams 1980s Christian abstinence videos. Jesus Christ, dude. You're supposed to be Stan, not Satan's protege. Everybody's ass is perpetually covered in pee. This is what I'm talking about. Seriously, what the fuck, Stan? Sure, it's a punishment, but it doesn't even make sense. Fucking Stan. Virgil took Dante's hand. This next circle, Dante, is among the darkest we shall see on our journey. All of the very worst of humanity are chaperoned to this innermost ring, where their eternal damnation rings in endless discord. I am ready. The two passed through the corridor and emerged in a vast, open space. The air was bitingly cold and stank with a heavy scent not unlike a horse barn. Is that? Dante trailed. P, Virgil said with great solemnity. It is P. The two traipsed into the vast cavern and Dante was finally able to see the damned souls from up close. Is that P? On their butts? Yes, Dante, that is indeed P, and it is all over their butts. Their pants are forever wet and smell of urine, and so they get quite uncomfortable, and it smells just plain awful, Virgil replied with a shake of his head. There are few whose lot is worse than these wretched souls before you. Dante watched them mill about in agony, most of them not even wearing any pants at all. Those there, why have they forsaken their trousers? The center of hell is cold, and indeed the eternal pee on their butts makes them uncomfortably frigid. With no pants, there is no soaking wet feeling against your brown starfish all day long, but there is also the ever-present sensation of dribbling moisture leaving a snail's trail behind you wherever you journey. There is no winning when butts are covered with pee. Dante nodded, beginning to understand. I should like to leave this place, Virgil. This circle brings me great unease. Then let us be off. But remember well this image of butts ever covered with pee. For such awaits all who would give in to sins of pride and vanity. The two carried on ever deeper into the inferno before them.